name is Brianna Nissley, and I look at the negative impacts that large classroom sizes have on students in America's public school system. The question, should the United States Department of Education modify classroom size to enhance academic success, guided my research. If this issue is not addressed, there could be many long-lasting negative effects. School nurse Mary Bowermaster explains that it is necessary to have smaller classrooms because, quote, large numbers of children in classrooms make it difficult for teachers to meet all of the needs, end quote. Not only are large classroom sizes hard on teachers, a study done in Tennessee called the Student-Teacher Achievement Ratio, STAR Project, proved that smaller classroom sizes increase test scores. This led me to my thesis, that the teacher-to-student ratio must be transformed to allow for smaller classroom sizes so that each student can obtain the most academic success. A transformation in regards to smaller classroom size needs to take place to allow students to be able to effectively learn, especially in their early years. Psychologist and State University professor of New York, Dr. Jeremy Finn, explains that it is critical for students in grades kindergarten through third to be put in classes with less than 20 students. This allows for fundamental development of the brain, thus giving students the best opportunity to succeed both in the present and in the future. The organization, First Things First, which provides programs for young children, supports Finn's claim by stating that by the age of 5, quote, 90% of a child's brain develops, end quote. Classes need to be small, especially during the first years of elementary school, to allow students to be supported individually as their brains develop. Finn continues to show that in Los Angeles, California, some schools have up to 43 students per class, which he suggests hinders students' accomplishments. Researcher Sid Baroque adds to Finn's claim by explaining why classroom size is so important, not only for brain development, but also for comprehension. Baroque writes that students who are in large classrooms are often, quote, seeking help or clarification, end quote, while in smaller classes, more, quote, follow-up questions can be asked. Smaller classroom size is essential for students' intellectual accomplishments due to brain development and comprehension. Over the past decades, technology has been integrated into classrooms, thus requiring for smaller classroom sizes. Wolf Institute founder Edward Kessler's article helps answer my research question. Should the United States Department of Education modify classroom size to enhance academic success? Kessler writes about how technology has rapidly grown since it was created in the 1980s. This correlates to my topic, showing how the use of technology in classrooms has increased since it was created, thus causing for an urgency in smaller classroom size. Kessler writes about how the internet started in the 1980s as, quote, one-to-one connections. One-to-one connections were direct communication between two individuals through a program such as email. 2 decades later, it had transformed into, quote, many-to-many connections. Many-to-many connections are when 2 or more large groups of people communicate to another large group. These many-to-many connections include social media, which plays a huge part in today's students' and even teachers' lives. To allow technology to be successfully integrated into schools, small classrooms are required so that proper monitoring of these many-to-many connections can occur. According to Pew Research data, 73% of advanced placement, AP, and National Writing Project, NWP, teachers and students use some form of internet, such as social media, mobile phones, or computers, to complete assignments. While technology has positive impacts, Tulane University School of Medicine conducted a study on students' perceptions about deviant behavior online during the school day. Deviant online behavior consists of any unacceptable online behavior. The middle school and high school students who participated in this survey said that they, quote, perceived the behavior of their peers to be deviant, end quote. Students acknowledge that deviant online behavior occurs during the school day. Dr. candidate Alan Bergen suggests that technology has positive impacts in schools, such as, quote, engagement, motivation, organization, along with improved research, writing, and editing skills, end quote. Kessler agrees with Berger that technology has positive impacts on students. Kessler continues to articulate that social media gives students the opportunity to learn, quote, from those who have different perspectives, end quote. To allow technology to be used in positive ways in schools, smaller classroom sizes are required for proper monitoring of these many-to-many connections. While previous Previous evidence indicates that smaller classroom size provides the best opportunity for students to succeed. Some people disagree. Some people argue that large classroom sizes are the only option for their school due to finances. Authors Matthew Chigos and Grover Whitethurst write that if just one student would be added to each classroom, it would, quote, save at least $12 billion per year in teacher salaries. But they continue on to say that when classroom sizes were decreased by 7 students, they were able to, quote, increase student achievement, end quote. Students were able to learn about 3 months of additional material due to having smaller classroom sizes. While the funding of teachers is a concern for the public school system, smaller classroom sizes need to be the primary focus. A solution needs to be formed that causes a transformation to take place in the public school system so that students can have the most academic success. The peer tutoring system was implemented to allow students to be able to learn from their peers, explains Yang, Lowingston, and Shin. Carnegie Mellon University points out a flaw in the peer tutoring system, though, and explains that it can lead to, quote, learning stress on the part of the 2D. This is often because the peer tutor does not have the same amount of training that a teacher does. If their partner is struggling, they do not have the knowledge and the resources to help their partner. Peer tutoring is a temporary fix, but a long-term solution needs to be implemented. A long-term solution could be lowering the number of students in classrooms so that students can be directly taught by the teacher. A law should be passed that forces classes to have, quote, under 20 students, end quote, in them. In 1998, President Bill Clinton wrote a legislation proposal to reduce the average class size to 18 in grades 1 through 3. This bill was never successfully passed, though. An implication to this solution would be that students would be able to thrive in these small learning environments during their developmental years in school. Shrinking the classroom size would also allow students to get the help that they need and allow teachers to be able to actively monitor technology use in the classroom. This would give their students the opportune learning environment. A limitation to this solution would be the funding for the teachers. The majority of schools now that have large classroom sizes are not able to afford to hire more teachers. A proposed law would have to include increased budgeting for public educational institutes with the money allocated for hiring new teachers. The government needs to take into account the effect that large classroom sizes have on academic performance, monitoring of technology, and overall accomplishment.
Okay, Bree, thanks. The first question I have for you, how did you handle the different perspectives in order to reach a conclusion?
So through my research, I was able to incorporate a lot of different perspectives into it. I was able to use researchers' points of view, such as Sid Baroque, to show the research that has been done on this topic, and I was also able to use firsthand experiences from teachers and what they experienced in the classroom. So I was able to show how 43 students in a class and how teachers struggle with that and how teachers struggle to monitor the technology. I was able to incorporate their struggles and compare that to the research that has been done on the topic.
Okay, thanks. So with the second question, I'm going to ask you about your conclusion, but what might be the real-world implications or consequences of your findings, and what are the implications to your research community?
So an implication to my solution would be to allow students, they would be able to have more academic success during their school careers. So it would allow them to be able to have more comprehension about what they're learning, and as their brains develop, they would be able to have more understanding. And this would directly impact my community by allowing students to be in these smaller classrooms and thrive in their learning so that they can be the most successful that they possibly can through school.
Okay. All right, well, thank you.